Okay, let's start with a mental image. I want you to picture yourself in a place where you absolutely do not want to be. The ground isn't just wet, it is thick, sticky, ankle-deep mud. You are surrounded by a forest that feels like it's physically closing in on you, dark, dense, uninviting, and right in front of you, jutting out of this misery, is a wooden stake with a sign on it.
And knowing the genre we are diving into today, it is safe to assume this isn't a welcome to the neighborhood sign.
Far from it. The sign has 3 directions. It reads, "If you go left, you will return. If you go right, you will return. If you go straight, you will not return."
That is incredibly ominous. It sounds like the opening line of a very dark joke or the heavy-handed foreshadowing in a B-tier horror movie.
Yeah.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here, essentially.
Exactly. It is the ultimate turn back now cliche. It's practically screaming at you to walk away. But today, on the deep dive, we are looking at a story that takes that cliche, stares it right in the face, spits in the mud, and then completely dismantles it. We are digging into The Road with No Return, or in the original Polish, Szesta z innym nawrotu, a short story by the absolute master of gritty fantasy, Andrzej Sapkowski.
And for those listening who might know Sapkowski best as the creator of The Witcher and Geralt of Rivia, this story is going to feel like coming home. We are operating in that same morally gray, dirty, dangerous universe.
Yeah.
But, and this is the key distinct factor here, we aren't following a mutant monster hunter this time.
No Gerald today. Instead, we have a fascinating duo. We are following a sorceress named Vizena, who really hates being called Milady, and a warrior named Corin, who seems to have stumbled into a horror story when he thought he was in an adventure novel.
That is a great way to frame it. This story is a masterclass in subverting expectations. From the very first scene, Sapkowski is playing with the standard fantasy tropes we all grew up with, the damsel in distress, the noble knight, the mindless monster, and he twists them into something much more realistic and, frankly, much more dangerous.
So let's unpack this setup. We start with Vizena. She is riding along this muddy road. She spots this crossroads with the ominous sign, and she sees a man sitting there.
Right, Corinne.
And he's not exactly striking a heroic pose on a rearing stallion.
Yeah.
He is sitting in the mud, leaning against the signpost, and he looks casual. He's spitting out a blade of grass. But Vizena is sharp. She notices immediately that the vibe is wrong.
She spots the blood, Corinne is bleeding, and quite badly. But what is real interesting to me is the immediate social dynamic between them. You have to remember, Vizena is wearing men's clothing.
Right, yeah.
She is practical, she is riding alone, and Corinne, in his slightly delirious state from blood loss, calls her lad or young man.
Which she corrects immediately. She is not having it.
She isn't. Vizena is professional. She doesn't flutter her eyelashes or gasp at the sight of blood. She assesses him like a field medic assessing a casualty.
And Corinne, he's trying to play it cool.
He's trying to be the charming rogue. He is talkative, he is flirting, he is trying to downplay the fact that he is essentially dying against a wooden post in the middle of nowhere.
Let's talk about that wound, because this is where it gets really interesting. You look at a warrior covered in blood at a cursed crossroads, and your brain fills in the gaps. You assume he fought a dragon, or a bandit king, or a wraith.
You would assume that. That is the fantasy logic we are trained to expect. But Corinne's story of how he got stabbed is essentially a cautionary tale about why being a noble knight in Sapkowski's world is a really quick way to get yourself killed.
It is hilarious in a dark way. He tells Vizena he was sitting there laughing at the "you will not return" sign, thinking it was just local superstition, and then he hears a noise.
A classic setup.
Yeah.
He turns around and sees a hunched-over, gray-haired old granny with a stick. She is the picture of harmless misery. She is begging for food, claiming she hasn't eaten since dawn.
She looks completely helpless.
The perfect bait.
So Corin, being the good guy, does the right thing. He reaches into his pack, he gives her bread, he gives her smoked fish. He is literally feeding the hungry. And what is his reward for this act of charity?
A knife in the shoulder.
A knife from the granny.
And not just a wild, desperate swing. Corinne admits that if he didn't have exceptional reflexes, she would have put that knife right through his throat. This is critical to understanding the world we are diving into. Charity is a trap.
It's a weapon.
The helpless old woman trope is weaponized against the hero.
But it wasn't just a crazy old lady, right? Because when he grabs her, things get weird.
Very weird. And this is where the supernatural element kicks in hard. Corinne wrestles with her, and he realizes immediately that the physics are wrong. He describes her muscles as being hard as stone.
Like a statue.
Exactly. This isn't human strength, certainly not geriatric human strength. And when she dies, essentially falling on his sword during the struggle, the disguise fails.
The text says she transforms. She goes from being a gray-haired granny to a young woman with a body like a statue on a palace fountain.
An illusionist. Or perhaps a monster capable of shapeshifting. It changes the entire context of the road with no return.
Yeah.
That sign isn't magical. It doesn't kill you with an ancient curse.
No.
It is a threat enforced by traps. The granny was a sentry. She was a biological landmine waiting for do-gooders to stop and lower their guard.
That is such a cool concept, a monster that relies on your empathy to kill you. So Vizenna is standing there. She sees the body of this beautiful dead woman. She sees Corinne bleeding out, and she steps up. This is where we see what she can actually do.
Yeah, she takes charge immediately.
She pulls out a hematite stone.
I love the description of magic here. It's one of my favorite things about Sapkowski's writing style. Magic isn't a sparkly miracle that feels like a video game potion where you hear a ding sound and feel great.
No, not at all.
It feels like a medical procedure.
Vizenna runs the stone over the wound, and the text describes the bleeding stopping instantly, but it's not painless.
No, it is agonizing. The tissue knits together rapidly, leaving a swollen purple scar. It is visceral. Corinne actually complains about the pain. He yelps, and Vizenna says most wounds have that unpleasant quality.
She is ice cold, effectively telling him to shut up and hold still.
She has to be.
Ah.
You have to realize Vizenna has figured something out that Corinne hasn't. This ambush wasn't random.
Right.
An illusionist sentry at a crossroads implies a sophisticated operation. Someone put her there. And because Vizenna is a member of the Circle, this powerful guild of mages, she knows she needs information immediately.
And this leads us to the part of the story that actually gave me chills reading it. The interrogation. But they aren't interrogating a prisoner.
No, they're interrogating the corpse.
Necromancy. It is a taboo subject in almost every fantasy world, usually reserved for the villains.
Oh, absolutely, the darkest of dark arts. But here, Vizenna treats it as a necessary tool of investigation. But notice the preparation. It isn't a casual wave of the hand. She takes off her headband, which we learn is made of snakeskin with a jewel. Her focus and the atmosphere shifts from roadside first aid to eldritch horror very fast.
The description is horrific. The body starts twitching, it arches its back, it starts levitating until it is touching the ground only with its heels and the top of its head, like a bridge.
And the sounds. It isn't speaking clearly at first. It is gurgling. It is screaming. It is making these guttural, inhuman noises. Vizenna has to command it, Greel Gain, speak. She's imposing her will on the fading biological and magical echoes in this dead body.
And Corinne, the big, tough warrior who fights bandits and laughs at danger.
He is terrified. And this is a great character moment. Corinne handles physical threats, swords, axes, things he can hit just fine. But this
is different.
This violation of the natural order. He drops his sword. He covers his ears. He squeezes his eyes shut. He is trembling. It really highlights the massive power gap between a hero and a sorceress. He is completely out of his depth.
Well, they do get some info out of the screaming corpse before the spell burns out.
They get fragments, but there are crucial fragments. The corpse mentions the Circle, which suggests that whoever sent this sentry knew Vizenna, or someone like her might come.
So they were waiting for her.
Or for someone from her organization. It also mentions orders to stop a boy.
A boy! Any idea who that is?
We don't know who yet. It's a dangling plot thread. But most ominously, the corpse mentions a name. Kostej.
Kostej. That sounds heavy.
Carries a lot of cultural weight. In Slavic folklore, Kostej the Deathless is a terrifying, immortal figure. Here, Sapkowski is using it to invoke a sense of an ancient, unstoppable monster. The corpse says the Kostej is in the pass and the mountains.
So now the stakes are set. It isn't just a road. There is a blockade. There is a monster, a Kostej in the mountains. And there is a conspiracy that involves stopping the Circle.
It's all connected.
Vizenna and Corinne decide to leave the scene, and fast.
Which leads to a surprisingly intimate, slightly awkward moment of travel. They only have one horse. Vizenna rides in the saddle, and Corinne, the knight, has to ride behind her on the horse's rump, holding onto her waist.
Which he seems to enjoy a little too much, considering he was just stabbed and watched a corpse scream.
He does. He tries to make conversation. He asks if she is from the Circle. He is trying to process the horror he just saw, but also he is a rogue at heart. He is flirting.
Trying to get his footing back.
He is trying to regain some masculine footing in this situation. And Vizenna, she just cuts him off. Corinne, do me a favor. Stop chattering. I want to think.
She is laser focused on the mission. He is just happy to be alive and riding with a beautiful woman. But this journey takes them out of the forest and into the village of Cleach. And if the crossroads was grim, this village is just depressing.
It is the embodiment of economic depression. It is described as dirty, huddled under the mountain, gray and lifeless.
And the welcome wagon isn't exactly friendly.
No. It is a bunch of peasants with pitchforks and stones.
They are ready to kill them, just for riding into town.
They are terrified of strangers, until Vizenna pulls out a specific item, a golden, sickle-shaped knife.
Her badge of office.
Exactly. It identifies her as a healer, a druid, or a sorceress of the circle. The moment the villagers see that sickle, the aggression drains away. They take off their hats, they bow, they are desperate for help, but they have been living in terror.
So they meet the village elder, a guy named Topin. And Topin explains what is actually going on. And this is where the story shifts gears for me. We go from monster hunt to macroeconomics class.
Laughs. Precisely. This is one of the things Sapkowski does best. He grounds his fantasy in hard economics. The village of Cleach isn't suffering because a dragon is burning their houses every day for sport.
No, it's much more real than that.
They are suffering because trade has stopped.
It is a supply chain issue in a fantasy story.
It is. Let's break down the economy, Topin explains. The village produces wool. That is their only asset. They shear sheep. They sell this wool to merchants who travel through the Clemat Pass.
Okay, so wool leaves the village, money comes in. Simple.
Right. But where are the merchants going? They are going to the mines in Amel, on the other side of the mountains. The mines produce jasper and jade precious gems. So the merchants bring money and goods to the village, buy wool, go to the mines, buy gems, and come back. It is a cycle.
But the cycle is broken.
The Costige has blocked the Clemat Pass.
Yeah.
No merchants are coming through. No merchants means no salt, no iron, no goods, and no money. Topin explains that the villagers are slaughtering their sheep just to eat because they can't sell the wool.
They're eating their capital.
They are eating their capital. They are slowly starving to death.
But it isn't just a monster sitting on a rock scaring people away, right? It is more organized than that.
Much more organized. It is a protection racket. Topin explains that there are Costige men, bandits, and not just humans, but creatures he calls vrons.
Vrons. What are those?
The text describes them vividly. They ride horses, they wear these beak-like helmets, and most disturbingly, they have huge ruby red eyes.
So not human.
Definitely not human.
Yeah.
It adds this layer of weirdness to the threat. You've got these human thugs working alongside something else entirely.
So you have this monster, the Costige, blocking the road, and then you have these bandits coming down to the villages, looting them, taking the food and goods, and then they are doing something really specific with that loot.
This is the kicker. This is the truly brilliant part of the whole scheme. The bandits take the stolen food and goods up the mountain to the mines in Emil.
To the miners. Why?
Yes, because the miners are starving too. The merchants can't reach them either. So the bandits have created a monopoly. They're the only ones who can get supplies through. They steal food from the village, sell it to the starving miners in exchange for jade and jasper, and get rich.
Wow, that is diabolical.
It is an economic siege. And the ultimate threat enforcing it is the legend of the Costige. The bandits tell the villagers, if you don't pay us, if you resist, the Costige himself will come down from the mountain.
So they're using superstition as a weapon.
It is organized crime using a supernatural boogeyman as their enforcer. It's so much more terrifying and honestly more realistic than just a big monster.
That is terrifying and brilliant. It makes the villains so much more hateable than just a mindless beast. These are people and Vrans profiting off misery.
And the political situation makes it worse. Corinne asks the obvious question, where's the army? Where's the Lord? Why isn't the Duke handling this?
Yeah, surely the noble who owns this land cares that his tax base is being destroyed. You'd think that would get their attention.
You'd think so. But Topin and later the blacksmith, Mikola, explain it. The lords of Mayena and Razwan are fighting each other.
Of course they are.
It is a petty squabble between nobles. They are too busy killing each other's soldiers to care about a monster in a mountain pass or a few starving villages.
So the people are just abandoned.
The state has failed these people completely. They are on their own.
Which brings us to Mikola, the one guy in town who isn't just taking it.
Mikola is the blacksmith. He is a former soldier, built like a tank. And he is furious. He is the only one with a spark of resistance. He tells Vizenna and Corin that he sent his apprentice, a boy named up to the Lord, for help.
And let me guess, the Lord sent an army.
The Lord chased the boy away, called him a liar and a troublemaker.
Unbelievable.
So then Mikola sent a messenger to the circle.
That is why Vizena is here. She didn't just stumble upon this, she answered a call.
Exactly. Though she is playing her cards close to her chest. She hasn't fully admitted her mission to Corin yet. But Mikola is the catalyst. He is refusing to pay the bandits anymore. He says he would rather go into the woods and fight them one by one than kneel.
He's reached his breaking point.
He has, and that defiance is about to have consequences.
But then, talk about bad timing, or maybe inevitable timing. The bandits arrive.
It is a scene of pure tension. Vizena and Corin are at the forge talking to Mikola, and suddenly 6 riders appear. The Vrans with their red eyes and beak helmets, and a Hume leader.
The leader is described as having these cold, cruel blue eyes. He is terrifying.
He is a psychopath. He sees the blacksmith, but instead of just asking for the tribute, he decides to make an example. He asks, "Who is the smith?"
Ew.
Which is obvious because Mikola is the giant man in the leather apron.
He's toying with him.
Completely. And when Mikola doesn't answer instantly, the leader signals a Vran.
And they kill the apprentice. Just like that.
It is brutal. The Vran swings a spear and kills the boy. Then the wheelwright, a man named Radim, who is terrified and crying, runs out and they spear him too. It is senseless violence.
It's pure terror tactics.
It is meant to break Mikola's spirit completely before they torture him.
They plan to burn the forge down with Mikola inside or skin him alive. They're discussing it so casually. Should we put him on a stake or hang him?
This is the turning point. The bandits think they are in control. They have the numbers, they have the weapons, and they rely on fear. They don't know that inside that forge, there isn't just a blacksmith.
No.
There is a sorceress of the circle and a master swordsman.
The fight scene is chaotic and awesome. I want to break it down. Because Vizena, she stops being the healer and starts being the artillery.
She drops the subtlety completely. She takes off her headband again. And this time, instead of necromancy, she channels raw power.
It's pure combat magic now.
She shoots a beam of light described as bright as mercury, right at a Vran who is charging her.
It knocks him right out of the saddle, smoke rising from his clothes.
And Corin. This is his moment. He has been the joker, the flirt, the guy who got stabbed by a grandma. But now
He's a killer.
he is a whirlwind. He dual wields or moves so fast his sword is a blur. The text says his blade describes 2 circles and 2 Vrans fall. He cuts through them like they are nothing.
But my favorite part is Mikola, the blacksmith. He has just seen his friends murdered. His forge is burning, and he picks up an iron bar.
The weapon of the worker. He doesn't have a sword. He takes the tool of his trade, and in a blind rage, he drives it right through the chest of the blue-eyed leader.
Right through the chainmail.
Through the chainmail, everything. It is raw, primal justice.
The leader falls. The Vrans are getting cut down by Corin and blasted by Vizena. The tide turns instantly.
It does. But notice the aftermath. It isn't a cheer. There's no heroic music swelling. Mikola is in shock. He is rambling. They didn't have to kill the boy. They didn't have to.
The adrenaline is fading, and the tragedy is setting in, right?
He's won, but he's lost so much.
Corin is checking the bodies to make sure they're dead and worrying if he killed the right people. I hope these were the bad guys, he jokes, but it feels grim.
And then the cavalry arrives. But it isn't the king's army. It isn't the duke. It is the neighbors.
The villagers from Porog and Kachan.
Yes. They come running out of the woods with scythes, pitchforks, and axes, and they reveal something incredible. They didn't know Vizena was there. They didn't know about the magic. They had already started fighting back.
Wait, really? On their own?
Yes. The leader of the group from Porog shouts that they ambushed 3 coast-age men in the fields. The elder from Kachan says they fought off 4 bandits who tried to burn his barn.
So the uprising was happening anyway. It wasn't just them.
That is the beauty of it. Vizena and Corin provided the spearhead at the forge, but the people had reached their breaking point. The economic siege had pushed them too far. When people have nothing left to lose, when they are starving, they fight. Mikola's defiance wasn't isolated. It was part of a wave.
That is so powerful. It wasn't just the chosen one saves the village. The village saved itself. They just needed a little magical air support to tip the scales.
Exactly. Vizena validates their struggle, but she didn't invent it. She was the catalyst, not the cause.
So, the bandits are dead or routed. The village is safe. For now. But we still have a loose end, don't we? The Kostiaj, the monster in the pass.
That is the lingering shadow over the victory. The story ends with the immediate threat to the village gone. But the implication is clear. The blockade is broken at the bottom of the mountain, but the source of the problem, the creature, and whoever's controlling it, is still up there.
They've only dealt with the symptoms.
Not the disease.
Vizenna and Corinne are standing there amidst the smoke and the bodies, and you really see their partnership solidify here.
You do. They are opposites. Vizenna is intellect, magic, and duty. Corinne is instinct, physical skill, and chance. But they cover each other's blind spots.
It's a classic pairing, but it feels so earned here.
It does. Vizenna can handle the magic and the strategy, but she needed Corinne's sword to keep the bandits off her while she cast spells. Corinne needed Vizenna's healing and her magic to survive the odds.
And let's not forget, Corinne thinks he is just along for the ride, but he is in it up to his neck now, as he admits.
He is. He stumbled into a destiny he didn't ask for. He stopped at a crossroads, made a left turn into heroism, and now he can't go back.
So what does this all mean? We have a story that starts with a joke about a signpost and ends with a peasant revolution against an economic monopoly.
I think the core message is about the reality of adventure. In many fantasy stories, violence is clean, and the hero is worshipped. Here, adventure is dirty. It smells like burning wood and blood.
That's traumatic.
It is. Innocent people, like the apprentice, die for no reason. And the monsters are often just greedy men exploiting a legend.
It de-romanticizes the whole genre. It peels back the gold paint and shows the rust underneath.
Completely. And it highlights that heroism isn't about being a chosen one with a shiny sword. It is about standing up when the state has failed you. It is Mikola with his iron bar. It is the Xena doing the dirty work of necromancy to find the truth. It is ugly, but it is necessary.
And that leads us to the final thought. The road with no return. The sign was a lie, a trap set by bandits to scare people. But in a way, once they stepped onto that road, they couldn't return to who they were before.
That is a beautiful way to put it. They crossed a threshold.
Yeah.
The Xena revealed herself as a combatant, not just a healer. Corinne stopped being a drifter and became a defender.
And the village.
And the village of Cleach will never go back to being passive victims. They have blood on their hands now, and they have tasted victory. There is no return to the status quo.
And there is still that question of the Kostage. The bandits were terrified of it. They said if the Kostage gets angry, he will come down to the valley.
Which raises the chilling possibility. The bandits might have been keeping the monster fed and placated to run their racket.
Oh, wow.
With the bandits dead, what happens when the monster gets hungry?
Oh, man, I didn't even think of that. They killed the zookeepers.
Precisely. They solved the economic crisis, but they might have unleashed a much more primal threat. That's a story for another time.
Man, Sapkowski really knows how to leave you thinking. It is never just the end, is it?
Never. In this world, there are always consequences.
Well, that is all the time we have for this deep dive into the muddy, bloody world of Vizenna and Corinne. A huge thank you to everyone listening.
It was a pleasure. Keep questioning the signposts.
See you on the next deep dive.